About Movie, a bedtime story for adults. Hello everyone, I'm your old friend Ah Yue. To what lengths can a father go for his child? Let's watch today's episode of Resolution, New York, USA, 2024. Brock was a successful business tycoon. His daily schedule was meticulously packed by his secretary. Suddenly, he received a phone call. The voice through the receiver made Brock carve out 45 precious minutes. Rush to restaurant meet person. Person was Rachel, ex-unseen 20 years. Rachel traveled not for romance. She came for another matter entirely. After their breakup, Rachel returned to Canada and discovered she was pregnant. Knowing Brock didn't want children, she chose to keep it secret. She single-handedly raised their son Aaron. Aaron grew up safely until age 19. 2 weeks ago, he crashed his car near a bridge. Since Aaron was Brock's child, Rachel felt he deserved to know. Brock stared at the tears in Rachel's eyes. Behind his calm exterior, a storm raged within. The second he learned he had a son, the next moment, he was told that son was gone. 2 earth-shattering revelations in succession. Even for a battle-hardened businessman like Brock, it was too much to process. In a daze, he bid farewell to Rachel. Later, as scheduled, he brought his elderly father to attend a friend's birthday banquet. At celebration, Brock watched his friend's lively, bustling family. An ache settled in his chest. If Aaron hadn't died, perhaps the company he'd have now wouldn't be his fading father. Alone at night, stood before tall windows. The moonlight felt bitterly cold against his skin. But the dead were gone. All Brock could do now was honor his grief. He would trace Aaron's 19-year journey. Brock told Secretary reschedule all, then flew to Hamilton, Canada, to attend his son's funeral. Arrived cemetery. No guest present. Even Rachel was absent. Brock couldn't reach her. Pastor waited mourning. Pastor stopped lingering. He invited Brock to attend this funeral with only 2 participants. On this sorrowful day, the gloomy weather and pastor's eulogy awakened profound grief in Brock's heart. Unknown Aaron's character, nor understand how Aaron had lived. When the pastor asked about his relationship with the deceased, Brock vaguely answered family. Ceremony ended quickly. Pastor requested speech, but Brock shook his head. Grief and regret intertwined, wrinkling his brow and choking his throat. The hasty funeral ended, and while returning to his hotel, Brock called by Rob. It turned out Rachel had been hospitalized due to both emotional trauma and chronic health issues. Brock returning home, Rob promised that if Rachel's condition improved, arrange farewell. Brock returned hotel. Then he received a lobby call. Before calming emotions, someone waited lobby. Brock assumed it was Rob, but unexpectedly found a young man. The visitor introduced himself as Mickey, Aaron's best friend. Brock's eyes immediately lit up. He eagerly grabbed Mickey, demanding to know everything about Aaron. Conversation revealed he learned his son had been an accomplished pianist and a diehard Bulls fan. However, Aaron's romantic life had been troubled due to being born with one leg 3 centimeters shorter. He wore platform shoes to balance the difference, which deterred many potential girlfriends. But Mickey hadn't come to reminisce. His real purpose was to get money from Brock to solve his current crisis. Though Mickey portrayed Aaron as a model student who loved life, in reality they'd been trafficking contraband together. The illegal goods were in the car during the incident. Goods sunk river. Mickey alone couldn't repay the 5-0 debt for the goods. Brock covered $5,000. But Brock believed that paying would mean funding illegal transactions and flatly refused. Mickey's expression darkened. Meeting ended disagreement. Son involved illegal acts. Brock still wanted to understand more about him. Following Mickey's lead, he entered Aaron's high school the next day. To Brock's surprise, he couldn't find his son in the graduation photos on the walls. Brock pushed open the principal's office door with growing doubt. After introductions, the principal offered condolences. But Brock sensed little genuine grief behind the formalities. A nearby teacher remained coldly detached throughout. Brock ignored this, demanding answers about his son's missing photo. The principal hesitated before reluctantly explaining. Aaron had been expelled earlier. He'd spray painted a massive graffiti on the building, filled with inappropriate expressions directed at French teacher Alice. Brock insisted on seeing Aaron's graffiti. The principal worried the grieving father might collapse upon seeing the crude content. Instead, after hearing the translation, Brock declared the vulgar words to be beautiful poetry. He praised his son's artistic talent. He argued the school's expulsion drove Aaron to drug trafficking. They shouldn't have expelled him over a love poem. Brock admitted failing as a father during Aaron's life. Now, he vowed to make amends, begged restore Aaron's status, and include him in the yearbook. Though understanding parental grief, the principal found Brock's demand outrageous. When the class bell rang, he excused himself to attend a meeting. Relieved to end this awkward confrontation, Brock sat alone before the graffiti-covered wall. A young girl approached him. She introduced herself as Lillian, Aaron's 16-year-old girlfriend. Loved Aaron deeply. Learning he clashed with Rachel and her husband, she'd let him move into her home. Made sense, Brock. He assumed his son had found reciprocated happiness and love. Lillian shook head. Aaron had never truly loved her. His heart belonged to Alice, his French teacher. After Aaron's death, while sorting his belongings, found notebook. Pages showed love Alice. While alive, Aaron had persistently followed Alice everywhere, yet she had utterly ignored him. At present moment, Brock remained unaware of what such relentless pursuit truly implied. He dismissed it as youthful passion. Wanting to understand Aaron better, Brock examined notebook. Lillian readily agreed. Brock postponed his return trip by another day. Their path to retrieve the notebook led them past the accident site. The railing now stood enclosed by bright caution tape. Brock gazed silently at the river flowing beneath them. Grief welled up within him. Opened notebook night. Read Aaron's poems. The fervent emotions within seared through the fragile pages and pierced Brock's heart, leaving him profoundly moved. Brock turned the page. Alice's photograph stared back at him. Was this the woman his son had adored? Did she know someone had loved her so completely? Driven by paternal duty, Brock conveys son's feelings. Brock wanted to meet Alice. The next day, he returned to the campus. Upon finding Alice, he immediately presented the notebook, inviting her to visit Aaron's grave with him and share memories of Aaron's life. Alice initially offered polite condolences to the grieving father, nodding along as Brock praised Aaron's talents. But upon understanding his request, she hastily claimed afternoon obligations, turning to leave immediately. As Brock watched her retreating figure, he urgently called out to stop her. While believing Aaron had been exceptional, how could he dare develop feelings for his teacher? Could Alice, as his elder, have consciously or unconsciously encouraged this? Facing Brock's accusatory words, Alice, her composed smile remained intact, though her words carried sharper edges. She firmly stated she'd never manipulated Aaron, then walked away without looking back. Ultimately, Brock went alone to visit Aaron at the cemetery. He brought flowers to brighten the stark grave, hoping his son could enjoy their beauty in the afterlife. But Brock forgot a shovel to till the soil, so he asked a man trimming nearby headstones. Noticing the young girl's photo on the memorial, he suddenly understood. Parents burying their children. He extended his hand in fellowship. The man introduced himself as Jacob, father of a brilliant daughter who'd played violin, the family's greatest pride. Yet, on Elizabeth's 18th birthday last year, depression silenced her music forever. So similar in age, so parallel in tragedy. The golden afternoon sunlight seemed cruel as their shared grief spread through the graveyard, chilling Brock's bones. When departure day arrived again, Brock still refused to leave. He hadn't fully understood Aaron yet, nor brought Aaron's beloved to visit. The financial reports he daily absorbed became meaningless background noise. Not only did Brock postpone his return, next day he entered Alice's classroom. Recognizing the uninvited visitor, the teacher's eyes flickered with resignation. Out of compassion for bereavement, she pointed to Aaron's vacant desk and invited Brock to sit. She explained the situation to students. One, who knew Aaron's family background, raised a confused hand. Aaron said his father was dead. Why is Brock claiming otherwise now? There are complex factors involved. Alice couldn't explain it to an outsider. Brock stepped forward to clarify everything. Rachel hid her pregnancy from him, not because he disliked children. Since childhood, Brock lived father's abuse. He feared becoming like his father. I don't want this pain to be passed on to the next generation. It was this fear of Brock. It makes Aaron's existence even more unique. And he was in class. Childhood tragic experiences made students uneasy. Even Alice has a different opinion of Bullock. Forgive him for yesterday's offense. Alice reluctant in cemetery, but after school, she took the initiative to invite Bullock to a cafe to talk about Aaron. Alice's heart was full of tangles, but in front of Bullock, she chose to hide her mixed emotions, tell Aaron's good deeds. Alice's father died a year ago. Aaron organized condolences, comfort her not to grieve. It was also Aaron when he saw her crying secretly. We'll take the initiative to send a hug. Alice recognized mistake, but it was this warm embrace at that time. Temporary sadness relief. Maybe it was that contact, confusing Aaron's feelings for the teacher. But that's not all. Alice understands her true mistake. Promised Aaron C performance, and she had to lament the power of heredity. Father and son are so similar. Persist until goal. That's why Alice decided tell Aaron's story to Bullock, because that's the only way he'll be satisfied. Went closed tavern. Alice pointed to the corner piano, said it was where Aaron performed. Aaron was staring at her on stage all the time. After the performance, he walked in front of him and asked for a kiss. Alice, of course, did not kiss him. Bullock couldn't help but feel a little sorry for his son. But I've learned a lot about Aaron today. In addition, it was not early to send Alice home. Arrived, bench downstairs. Reminds Alice of Aaron's past behavior. He can sit on this bench all the time, staring at his own home on the second floor for hours. Bullock helpless heard. He didn't expect his son to love this teacher miserably. And today, I walked around all day. Brock wanted to catch his breath. He decided to rest on the bench where his son used to sit. Grateful Alice shared story. Through accounts, Brock finally realized his son had been gentle, thoughtful, talented, and romantic. How could such an outstanding child suddenly meet with misfortune? Looked second floor, where Alice's silhouette passed by the window. Brock stayed until night, left reluctantly. Is this what Aaron used to do? Experience son's experiences. As if his son had never left. Brock later went to the tavern, where he momentarily glimpsed Aaron playing the piano. Excitedly, he told his son, after a day together, I'm certain Alice definitely had feelings for you too. But their significant age gap, unacceptable teacher-student relationship. Brock wished Aaron could find love with a truly compatible and suitable girl. Aaron shook his head, determined to love only Alice in this lifetime. The son's stubbornness mirrored his own, amusing Brock despite himself. Returning to the hotel, he finally managed to sleep soundly. But the next morning, he was jolted awake by urgent ringing. Rachel was being discharged today. Brock hurriedly prepared to visit her. Recounted 2 days. The love poem on the wall, the affection in the notebook, the piano music at the tavern, and Alice's stories about Aaron. Each detail brought him closer to understanding his son. Yet, the mention of Alice immediately made Rachel's face flush with anger. She handed Brock a subpoena, and under his shocked gaze, began listing Alice's wrongdoings. 2 weeks pre-accident, Aaron found Alice's principal relationship. He became obsessed, sitting outside her home daily, watching her every move. Alice couldn't tolerate it, and filed a restraining order, warning Aaron to stop stalking her. But to Rachel and Brock, This minor issue didn't warrant such drastic measures. Rachel bitterly recalled burying Alice's photo beside the grave. Consul Sun Spirit received early subpoena. Brock was seething with anger. He felt utterly fooled. Left Rachel's house. He immediately confronted Alice about the subpoena. When Alice was sad, my son would write condolences. He'd embrace her warmly. He even invited her to shows regularly. This was clearly the purest love in the world. Why Alice trample feelings? Why involve the police to ruin such beauty? Alice dropped her pretense. Undying devotion? Forbidden romance? None of that was real. Aaron was a deranged, obsessive stalker. He threatened to kill anyone I dated. No exceptions. I'm done with his constant surveillance. My life's been chaos because of Aaron. I never want to see him again. That's why I refuse to visit his grave. Despite Alice's visible anguish, Brock stubbornly insisted Aaron was just a boy. She couldn't be this cruel to my son. Even as Brock headed to the airport, he ordered the driver to the cemetery. He unearthed Alice's photo by the tombstone, commanding Aaron to forget this woman. Jacob's voice interrupted from behind. He invited Brock for drinks. Today was Elizabeth's birthday. Brock gazed at the lovely girl's portrait. An idea struck him. In both age and appearance, she's the perfect match for Aaron. He couldn't help envisioning with Jacob their children's happy future together. This reminded Jacob of something. Neighbors mentioned the spirit marriage tradition. It lets departed souls find companionship. My wife spent a year searching for our daughter's perfect match. None met her standards. She finally gave up. Brock suddenly became intrigued. If spirit weddings mirror real ones, why not have Aaron marry Elizabeth? This way his parents could fulfill their wishes. Ghost marriage prevent loneliness. After reaching an agreement with Jacob, Brock discussed Rachel. Rachel had never heard of such a tradition before. Ghost marriage concept. Rachel laughed absurd. But on this matter, Brock remained solemn. Elizabeth's melancholic temperament and striking beauty would have been exactly Aaron's type. Let that Dame Alice disappear completely from Aaron's world. Rachel couldn't help reminding him, your son is no longer with us. Brock should stop this nonsense. Let rest peace. Dejected, Brock left Rachel's house, carrying his longing for his son. He approached the hotel piano and pressed its keys. Through the flowing melody, he momentarily saw Aaron sitting beside him again. But this warm moment was soon ruined by the arriving hotel manager. As it was late at night, Brock's soulful piano playing would disturb others. Rachel agreed Brock to visit Jacob's home together. Struggled posthumous marriage. Rachel repeatedly emphasized their visit was solely to share grief as bereaved parents. Entered house. Jacob and his wife Sonia warmly received them. Showed daughter's team photos, explaining Elizabeth had been a bullfighter. This made Brock reflect. Aaron had been an admirer of bullfighters. They could have met countless times. Now, they can only unite in death. Seeing Brock's astonishment, mistook Aaron bullfighter. Brock shook his head, smiling that his son had leg issues, making sports participation impossible. To his surprise, Sonia frowned immediately. She refused to let her daughter marry a cripple. Brock hurriedly explained. Limp not visible. No daily impact. Yet his lengthy arguments failed to ease Sonia's displeasure. When Rachel saw Sonia frown, her heart burned with anger. Aaron was perfection personified in her eyes. How dare anyone criticize him? Especially since Sonia's own daughter had mental issues. Who was she to judge Aaron? Maybe agreeing to come here was a mistake from the start. Unable to tolerate it any longer, she stood up and left. Chose Elizabeth's daughter-in-law. First hurt Aaron's leg, which made him uneasy. Sonia's reaction was only human. During the ride back, criticized Rachel impulsive. Rachel had grown tired of this farce. When Brock earlier mentioned Aaron's limp, His self-righteous tone filled her with disgust. Have you ever met my son? No right parade. For people to gossip about? Rachel angered her thinking. She abruptly pulled over, dumped Brock on the roadside, and sped away. Brock reluctantly entered a nearby cafe. He ordered coffee while waiting for a taxi. Kicked from car. Had been witnessed by the cafe owner. The nosy owner asked what happened. Brock, bursting to vent his frustrations, omitted that both newlyweds were actually deceased. Called marriage dispute? Asked lovers care? But Aaron and Elizabeth had never even met. Not possible love. Brock stubbornly insisted they were soulmates. He nodded firmly. The owner's face lit up. Love conquers all obstacles. They'll marry eventually. Businessman seized opportunity. He promoted his own venue. The owner suggested hosting the wedding at his cafe. The scenery here is uniquely charming. They walked to the cafe's backyard, where Brock discovered a surprise miniature beach. Sunset glittered on the rippling waves, like floating gold flakes mesmerizing the viewer. This pleased Brock immensely. He told the owner, if all goes well, we'll hold the wedding right here. Rachel Sonia deadlocked. Brock was unsure what to do next. To convince both sets of parents. Fortunately, the Jacobs family called first. Admitted thoughtless acts. Wanted to apologize. Brock apologized Rachel. He knocked on her door again. Unexpectedly, Rachel wasn't home. Rob had a lot to get off his chest. Though Rob found the ghost marriage concept absurd, he was the father who raised Aaron. Why was he excluded? From such important decisions? Brock realized his oversight. He apologized profusely. Seeing Brock meant no harm, Rob dropped the matter. He shared how Rachel behaved after returning home. Rachel didn't actually oppose the marriage. She genuinely liked Elizabeth. After leaving Sonia's yesterday, she wasn't particularly upset. Relief washed over Brock's face. With both families willing to proceed, his long-awaited wedding plans could finally advance. They rushed to the cafe to discuss venue arrangements with the owner. Sonia insisted on no red carpet. This puzzled the owner. How could a wedding happen without a grand entrance? Rachel sighed deeply. Non-ordinary ceremony, barely easing the owner's concerns. Preparations progressed. Brock felt satisfied, yet overlooked someone crucial. Lillian, Aaron's official girlfriend, demanded answers after hearing the news. Brock dismissed it as childish anger until Lillian's bombshell. She's carrying Aaron's child. Though shocked, Brock felt joy at his son's legacy surviving. This revelation changed everything. Plans faced complications. Life had delivered an unexpected twist. Brock's priorities suddenly shifted. A new chapter began unfolding. Since I missed the opportunity to become a father, now he says that he will never miss being a grandfather again. Lillian's 16 years. Parents forbid birth. Surgery has been scheduled. Take Lillian hospital. Time is running out right now. Brought Rachel overnight. Convince keep baby. The unborn child. For myself and Rachel, who have lost their son, it means infinite hope for the future. He pleaded with Lillian's mother to understand his pain. But this kid, for an underage girl who is in high school, but it means endless disaster. Mother protect daughter. Very resolutely rejected bullet. Lillian's father, Alex, who's been silent. I finally couldn't help but speak. And Rachel was confused. Youth understands nothing. Pregnancy is completely excusable. Willing, responsible. Where does the hostility in him come from? Alex finally had enough of the family's cheekiness. Ignored wife's stop. Keep Aaron at home. Vomited past evils. He knew Rachel resented him. Resentful Aaron would rather run away to live than go home. Aaron stole $6,000. Rachel chose to remain silent as an insider. Alex also decided not to pursue it. I didn't expect a concession. Exchanged broken nose. Family took Aaron. Aaron had sex with his 13-year-old daughter at the time. Drugged grandma's meal. Alex was still in prison at the time. Clarified post-prison. Aaron is a brute in the heart. Rachel's shameless visit. Wanted daughter give birth. But Bullock couldn't understand Alex's anger. Ages 13 and 16. It's normal for children to make some mistakes. Alex was furious. A punch knocked him to the ground. Rejected son, humiliated. In his heart, Aaron was the best child in the world. He was amazing, talented, and loved by everyone. He wasn't nearly as awful as Alex had claimed. The scene descended into chaos. In the end, the two wives intervened, prevented conflict. Although Brock followed Rachel away, he still refused to give up on the child. Suddenly, the sky poured with rain. Brock waited in a nearby phone booth through the long night until dawn. Swallowing his pride, he knocked on Lillian's door again. He offered his entire fortune to keep the child. But through parents' eyes, how could cars and money compare to their daughter's future? We can't use Lillian as bargaining chip for our own security. The response to Brock's plea was regretful glances and a slowly closing door. Brock ultimately failed to secure the child for his son. Now sitting before the grave, overwhelming grief filled his heart. Discovered Aaron's story. Brock realized how irrational his past fears had been. He truly loved children deeply, sacrificed all for them. Only now it was all too late. All that remained was this cold gravestone to touch. Beach wedding held. Guests filled the venue, all relishing this unique celebration. Both sets of parents held photos of their children as the minister officiated under the setting sun's gaze, formally declaring them husband and wife. Brock finally found contentment. Son, this is the bride I carefully chose for you. Forget that heartless Alice. The end. The aftermath is a 2024 Canadian drama that follows Brock discovering he once had a son and journeying to his birthplace to uncover the truth. The entire film begins with a two-person funeral and concludes with a wedding where the couple is absent. Absurdity permeates every frame. The investigative journey proves turbulent. A teacher confessed, "I really liked him one day," then declared, "I hate him, he ruined my life," the next. Beneath surface pleasantries lurked unfathomable darkness. The father character constantly vied for sympathy, fighting passionately for his son he loved, even offering his entire wealth to preserve son's bloodline. Brock's actions make him utterly impossible to sympathize with. He's paranoid and lacks empathy. Decided for dead son, disregarding Yanji's teacher stalking trauma in minors, forcing his own beliefs onto others. Complex characterization reason. That paternal love feels so profoundly heavy and real. Even if you're imperfect, even if you're full of flaws, I still love you. Regarding Aaron's true nature in the film, Ah Yue can't help growing curious. Is he an eccentric genius or an absolute villain? Comment below. Well, that concludes today's story. Good night. See you in the next story.